Welcome to Tea with Honey. It's your girl HoneyDaVinci and I'm back with another video. So today, Jada Pinkett Smith hosted another segment of Red Table Talk. This episode was in regards to the mental health due to the fear and anxiety that a lot of people are facing due to the coronavirus and the COVID-19. So this episode was basically a sequel to the last episode where she spoke in regards to the COVID-19 specifically and had Dr. Michael Osterholm on the show, who is the world's leading expert on viruses and pandemics and is an epidemiologist, and he broke down all of the facts in regards to this virus. He let us know how important hospital structures are. He also let us know what precautions work and what precautions don't work, and that this virus is not a game, and this is really happening, you guys. And it's so important for us as a community to know what role we play in helping to slow down the spread of the virus. So for more details on about the virus itself, check out my last video on this segment, on that segment of the Red Table Talk, where they break down in detail the facts about the virus, the symptoms, and steps to take to protect yourselves. This episode specifically is all about mental health. So she had two guests on the show. She had the world-renowned psychologist, Dr. Ramani, on the show. And she had a motivational speaker, Shetty, on the show. And they were there to give us the steps that could potentially help us with this anxiety, panic, and fear that is going around in the community due to this virus and people not knowing how to cope with their fears because of this virus. So it starts off with Jada asking Dr. Ramani how she specifically is handling this virus, because as you know, even though she is a psychologist, she's going through this virus just like the rest of us. So Jada wanted to know specifically how she is coping with this virus. So one of the ways she said that she copes with the virus and this whole situation with the anxiety and fear is to keep a routine. Now, her routine, she said, was that she cleans. That's one of her ways of coping. She said, believe it or not, her closet is very organized, and that's just her way of keeping her mind off of the virus and the anxiety, and to keep her anxiety levels low. That's something that I feel like a lot of people could hold on to and use to betterment themselves and their anxiety. Find a hobby. Find something to distract yourself. Stay busy. Put together a puzzle, read a book, clean your house. Find something to do that can take your mind. Find something you enjoy doing that can take your mind off of this virus, whether it's listen to music and, whether it's to paint. If you got some paint in your house, go ahead and paint up those walls you said that you wanted to paint. Go ahead and, get behind those cabinets or whatever you wanted to do that you said you wanted to do. If you had plans on putting up some new pictures that you still have boxed in your garage or something, go ahead and grab those, put them up, redecorate, move that furniture that you said you wanted to move to the other side of the room. Do those little things that you may not have been able to get to now that you have the time to do it. Another thing that she said that she uses to help cope is getting a lot of rest. And I feel like this is a very, very important thing to promote, is get some rest, you guys. There's a lot of people who just aren't taking being in the house well. They don't want to sit down. They don't want to be in the house confined, and it's driving them nuts. And I feel like, try and get some rest. I don't know about you, but I know in the community that I'm from, people work hard. People work constantly. Not everyone even gets to go on vacation. Not everyone even in their lifetime gets to just go out and get some relaxation, whether it's to go to a spa or just take a nap, So try to do those things while you can, because once this virus has passed and everything opens back up and things get back to the status quo, you may regret not using this opportunity to relax. You know, don't take on such a heavy load. We already have so much to face. And you don't want to get sick by trying to rebel against just sitting in the house and relaxing. Another thing that they spoke about is keep in contact with your family, you guys. If you're worried about your family members and you want to go drive on over there and see if they're okay, stop. Take a deep breath. Call them. Video chat them. I promise everything's going to be all right. You don't have to run over there and risk your safety and the safety of your family members to know that they're okay. Video chat them. Call them. Text them. Keep in contact with them and via social distancing, you know? You can communicate with your family. You can be there for them while still keeping your social distance. And one of the topics that we spoke about, well, I spoke about in my last video via the whole Red Table Talk about the COVID-19, which is the coronavirus, was how you can be a walking time bomb. So it may be in your best effort to just keep that quarantine. You don't want to risk your family. Some people don't have symptoms, therefore you don't want to risk going to see family members who you may not know have issues with their immune system or their respiratory system, and you come over there trying to be a kind family member and a caring family member, and now you've unknowingly spread the virus to them and then they end up sick. So if you're worried about your family member, call them up. That might give you some type of reassurance that your family is fine. And just keep in contact with them in that way so that we can work together to slow down the spread of the virus. Now, the grandmother asked Dr. Ramani, what advice would you give to someone who's having trouble sleeping? Because there's a lot of people who just simply cannot sleep because of this virus. They worry about their family, they worry about their kids, they worry about their wives, their husbands, their grandmothers, their cousins, their uncles, their nieces, their nephews. And it's causing them such stress that it's waking them up in the middle of the night and they just can't sleep. Again, contact your family members. Call them up. If you know your family member is having a hard time, call them. See how they're doing. Talk to them for an hour. Talk to them for 3. We have nothing but time here. If you want, play a game with them. Go on video chat. Play, tic-tac-toe or play Connect 4. If you both have a Connect 4 board, move your blocks, and see what happens. You can do these things via satellite. You don't have to be in front of your family to be there for your family. Play charades on video chat. You can do these things. There's lots of ways to have fun. Now's the time to use your creativity and find fun ways. Now's the time to build memories with your family that you guys can look back on after this virus and say, hey, remember in 2020 when that virus happened and we were playing charades on the video chat because we were all quarantined to our houses? Now's the time to do those things. You don't have to think about these things in a negative way. You can find a way to think of these things in a positive way and focus on positivity. Find the light through the dark of this tunnel. Get through it together and do it while social distancing. It can help. Now, they also spoke about the brain in general. So, Dr. Ramani spoke about how there's a part in your brain that is signaled by fear in general. So she called it the fear network. All it does is send signals of fear. So when that is activated, it's sending constant signals in your brain of fear and worry and to panic and things like that. So a lot of times when you see people rushing to the stores and buying 500 packs of toilet paper, operating off of that. Now, your prefrontal cortex, which is in the front of your skull and in the front of your brain, that is where your, decision making comes into play. Where you get your responses from, that's where you get it from, the prefrontal cortex. So, a lot of times your amygdala sends signals to your prefrontal cortex and tells it, we need to panic, we need to panic. And then next thing you know, you're going to Walmart and buying every single container of Lysol at the store that you really don't need. You don't need 500 containers of Lysol. You don't need it. And I'm sure by you doing that, what you're doing is stopping other families from being able to sanitize themselves, which is just going to make the virus spread even more, and which is going to confine you to your homes longer and keep that fear going longer. So she was basically saying how people who are spazzing out and just like going crazy right now, it's because they are operating from their fear network. Another thing is to monitor how much of someone else's baggage you can take. That's another way to cope, because like Jada Pinkett says, Jada Pinkett considers herself a codependent. She has to, in her mind, take on the troubles of other people. She feels like if there's a way she can help anyone in the world, she wants to jump on board. And that's why we love her. But at the same time, it is very important to self-care. Take care of yourself. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed because you're being there for your cousin, being there for your aunt, making sure this person is able to get this, making sure this person is able to get that, giving so much that it's causing you self-harm and causing you stress and keeping you up at night, you may need to take a break. You may need to take a step back and self-care. Even if it's just turning your phone off for a few hours, you may need to do that and focus on yourself. You may need to tell someone, I can't do it today. As much as it hurts us sometimes, us caregivers, to tell someone, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to help you with that. You may need to, just to help yourself, because Dr. Ramani compared it to what Will said on the last episode about the hospital structures. If we overwhelm the hospital structures, then a lot of people aren't going to be able to get the help they need, thus raising the mortality rate and making this virus spread even more. So if you compare that same mindset to yourself, if you overwhelm yourself as a caregiver, then you're not going to be able to give any care to anyone, thus removing one more essential caregiver from, humanity and the community as a whole. And each caregiver is very essential during this time of need. So you need to make sure that while you're taking care of everyone else, that you take care of yourself, and you don't guilt yourself for taking care of yourself, because only you can truly care for you. Okay? So another thing that they talked about is they got some questions from a few of the, people online. So some people called in via video chat, some people sent in messages during the hashtag Red Table Talk, and they asked questions in regards to, basically how they can handle certain stress from certain perspectives. So one guy messaged in and asked, he needs space from his wife, who he loves dearly, but he doesn't know how to ask or how to come across, or he kind of feels guilty for even wanting it. And Dr. Ramani broke it down as this: yes, you can be in a relationship with someone, yes, you can love someone, but sometimes You need your space. And you needing your space does not mean that you don't love your spouse. And this is again another method of reducing the guilt that you have. Reducing that feel of, wow, my wife, if I tell her that I need space, she might think I don't love her. Or being a wife, hearing your man tell you that he needs some space right now, that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. That doesn't mean that he wants to divorce you. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have that spark in his eye for you. All it means is he needs a little bit of space. And right now, a lot of couples who probably don't spend as much time together because maybe your man works in the daytime and you work at night, and y'all just cross paths, you know, when you both are off on the same day, and you don't really see each other during the weekdays, but on the weekends you see each other. Or maybe you don't see each other as much on the weekend, and on the weekdays you see each other more. Things like that. And now you're confined to each other 24/7, and it's like, whoa, this is happening very fast. I need a little bit of space to just, you know, be myself, or have my little happy bubble, or just a moment to do the things I like to do, whether that's read, watch a show, whatever, without anyone around, be it your kids, your wife, your sister, maybe you have family members living with you, and all of that. Now, they basically let him know that ask your wife for some space. And Dr. Ramani also said if your spouse is not trying to give you any space right now, that might be a red flag, and you might want to look into that. Now, another woman, she called in via video chat, and she asked, she has 2 kids, and one of them is suffering dearly with, you know, health issues, where even if a regular virus was to get into her system, it would cause very serious seizures for the little girl. Oh my gosh, can't imagine that. And so she asked, she said, how can she go about her day-to-day when she's still having friends who are hitting her up like, hey girl, let's have a play date. Hey girl, let's still hang out. Let's still act like this virus isn't going on. And she says that she pretty much feels offended anytime any of her friends hit her up asking her to do these things that are basically the complete opposite of social distancing. And she thinks that it's very crucial for everyone to self-quarantine. And she wanted to know what to do, because, you know, people are looking at her like she's crazy, like she's the crazy mom, because she does not play with this virus. When her husband comes home from work, she make him go sanitize and do everything he needs to do before they even feel comfortable with him being around them, meaning her and the kids. So Dr. Ramani basically gave her kudos and let her know that, listen lady, you have to do what you got to do to take care of your kids, and you do not need to feel guilty, and you need to just keep doing what you're doing. It is not your job to educate people on this virus. It is not your job to open people's minds about this virus. You just need to take care of you and your kids, and what you are doing is called great parenting. So for any other people out there who may be going through the similarities of what she's going through, don't beat yourself up. Don't gaslight yourself into believing that you're doing something wrong. You're doing the right thing by self-quarantine and by being serious about this virus. And Shetty also broke down how it is your duty to take care of yourselves. It is your job to take care of yourselves. Don't worry about what other people are going to think about you, because a lot of times that can be the case. There's a lot of people who, me being one of them, and this hit home for me. He said, it's not your job to educate people or to worry about what other people think, or not every conversation do you need to be a part of. That's what really hit me, because I found myself on social media, anytime I saw anyone say that the virus wasn't airborne, I would hop in the comments right away and be like, yes, it is. And I would tell them that I watched Red Table Talk and that Jada Pinkett Smith had Michael Osterholm on the show, and he's the world leading expert on viruses and pandemics, and how he basically told us, well, not basically, he did tell us that the virus is airborne. So I felt the need to tell everyone that I saw commenting that the virus isn't airborne, that yes it is, yes it is, yes it is. And sometimes I would even kind of get into these heated debates with people about this virus being airborne. And like he said, Shetty said, you do not need to be a part of every conversation. Know what your sources are and stick with that. Meaning, know what your sources are. Like, my sources of information about this virus came from, you know, the Red Table Talk. It really opened my eyes and gave me a lot of information. So that's my source, and that's what I'm going to stick with. If any more information comes out from another source that is reliable, then yeah, that can be my source as well, and then I'll focus on that as well. But I don't need to be a part of every conversation. And man, it's like I needed to hear that, because it gave me some type of closure to where now when I see people going crazy, I don't worry about it. I just take the steps and just say, you know what? I've done all I can. I've posted my video on Facebook. I posted my video on Twitter. I posted my video on Instagram. Anyone who doesn't click on a video to educate themselves, that is their decision. And I can't spend every day trying to educate every single person about this virus. Now, these are a few of the steps that they also mention. As Shetty said, TIME. T as in thankfulness, be thankful for the things that you have. I for insight or intent. M as in meditation. And E as in exercise. And he said that these can boost your immune system, your self-esteem, and it can also just make you feel better about yourself and give you some type of relief. He said that specifically, your peace is in your power, meaning that you are responsible for your peace of mind, and to not allow this virus to disrupt your mentality. You control what you have going on inside of you. So let's say, for example, let's say someone calls you a bad name, right? You can either get upset or not get upset by it. Now, you can either let someone have the power to affect your mood and the way you handle them calling you a negative word, or you can understand that the things people say about you does not equate to the things that you feel about yourself, and you take the power of understanding that words do not equate to your reality. Someone saying something negative to you does not affect you in regards of, are they paying your bills? Are they making sure you're okay? If they call you a name, does it stop what you have going on in your life? If it doesn't, it doesn't matter. And only you can decide whether or not you are going to have a peaceful mindset or not. So you need to take control of your peace and let the hurt go. So basically on this episode, I found that it was very, very, very insightful. It was very, very passionate. It was very, very well spoken. Check that out. Red Table Talk on Facebook Watch. They talked about how you have to just breathe. And one of the little steps that Shetty said was to put your left hand on your abdomen and then put your right hand on your heart, right? And then he said to breathe in for 4 and then release for more than 4. So I'll do it for you right now. So close your eyes and you breathe in. And you just breathe in for 4. And breathe out for more than 4. Breathe in for 4, and then you just breathe out for more than 4. And you just continue to do that again and again, and you continue to just let the air flow, and it just calms you. Even me now, you might notice I just feel so much more calm. And he talked about how your breath is essential to everything you do in life. When you're happy, your breathing is different. When you're sad, your breathing is different. And, you know, when you take that moment to just breathe, it can truly calm you and release some anxiety. Another thing they talked about is how to deal with loneliness. And this was a very great topic that they spoke about, specifically Shetty. He spoke about how loneliness can just be a figment of your thought process. So you don't have to be lonely during this time. I know you may not want to be quarantined, and I know you may not want to be in the house. You don't want to be alone. You want to go see the people you love. And Shetty let it be known how to shift that mindset. And instead of thinking loneliness, because when you think of loneliness, you think of being alone. You think of being, you know, closed off and, you know, things like that. He said instead of thinking of it as loneliness, he said to think of it as solitude. And that was very essential, because solitude is more so being content with being by yourself. And that's exactly what we need to do during this time. And he said, learn a new side of yourself during this time. If you're used to being out with your friends, then guess what? During this time, you have the opportunity to learn a new side of yourself. You get to learn how you interact when you're by yourself. You get to learn how to be creative and to entertain yourself. You know, instead of watching TV and hanging out with friends and doing things that you usually do on the day-to-day, you can spend this time and learn more about yourself. And that is so essential to growth as a person. And that really stuck with me, and I really appreciated that a lot. So remember, you guys, in the words of Shetty, you are in control of your peace. Your peace is in your power. So if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling anxiety, this too shall pass. And we will get through this together as a community. So that's my review on Red Table Talk. I thought it was an excellent show. And I think that Jada is just doing a phenomenal job with our community. And this is just another situation of her just doing such a deed for our community in ways that she probably isn't even aware is how important it is. Just like they said, just like the psychologist and Jay said, there's no one having these conversations right now during this virus. There's no one taking the initiative to say, hey, there's a lot of rumors going on about what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what works, what doesn't work during this virus. Hey, let's get an expert in here to put these rumors to rest so that we can educate people with straight answers about what works. Then, on this episode, it's a lot of people aren't handling the pressure and the anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen with this virus or how long the shutdowns are going to last. Let's get us in the world's renowned psychologist. Let's get in a motivational speaker who can educate us on how to cope with anxiety and also boost our spirits up and give us new outlooks on how to cope with this time, and I just think it is just very, very important, and I really appreciate her taking this initiative. And like I said, I love their family so much. I just adore them, and I just appreciate every minute of them using their platform to educate us in our community. And when I say our community, I'm not just talking about people of color. I'm talking about everyone, just the community in general. I think it is very important for all of us to understand our role in this virus and how to slow down the process of the spread, and how to cope with the anxiety and the fear, and how to switch our mindsets if we're feeling kind of low, and to support each other through this time. Remember, we're going to get through this together, and one day we're all going to be able to come back to this moment and talk about this in the future. And if we do happen to lose any loved ones or family members, we will have known we did the best that we can to be there for them, to be there for ourselves, and to be there for one another during this time. So again, this is my review on Red Table Talk. This is the sequel to the episode about the coronavirus with Michael Osterholm. And this is our anxiety and fear during COVID-19 episode. And oh, it was phenomenal. It was just very phenomenal, and I just appreciate every minute of it. So, love you guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos. Let's do it.